autism alone, ADHD alone. But what about both at once? If you've read about autism or read about ADHD and never quite fit either description completely, this might be why. It's called AuDHD, the overlap of autism and ADHD in the same person, and it's one of the fastest growing areas of self-identification in the neurodivergent community. Research increasingly shows that autism and ADHD co-occur far more often than was historically recognized. A large share of autistic people also meet the criteria for ADHD, and a large share of people with ADHD show autistic traits. For decades, clinicians were trained to diagnose one or the other, rarely both. Which means, if you only ever got one diagnosis, you might be missing half the picture of how your brain actually works. Here's what makes AuDHD so confusing. Autism and ADHD can look like opposites. Autism often involves a strong need for sameness, routine, and predictability. Change and uncertainty can feel deeply uncomfortable. ADHD often involves a craving for novelty, stimulation, and new experiences. Routine and repetition can feel unbearably boring. So how can someone crave routine and crave novelty at the same time? This is exactly the contradiction that makes AuDHD so hard to recognize, in yourself or in your child. In reality, the two profiles don't cancel each other out. They interact and often amplify each other. The ADHD side of the brain seeks stimulation and struggles with boring tasks. The autistic side needs a strong sense of control and predictability over how that stimulation happens. The result is often a very narrow window of things that feel tolerable. Many AuDHD people mask both profiles simultaneously, suppressing autistic traits to seem more typical, while also suppressing ADHD traits to seem more controlled. That double masking is exhausting in a way that masking just one profile isn't. Executive function, planning, starting tasks, switching between them, gets hit from two directions at once. This is often why AuDHD burnout can feel more severe and harder to recover from than either profile alone. Because the two sets of traits can mask each other, AuDHD frequently goes unrecognized for years, sometimes decades. ADHD hyperactivity and social impulsivity can make someone appear more socially fluid than they actually feel inside, hiding underlying autistic traits. An intense autistic focus on specific interests can look like sustained attention, hiding the ADHD traits underneath, even though that same person might struggle enormously with anything outside their interest. This pattern is especially common in women and in late identified adults, who are statistically more likely to have developed sophisticated masking strategies before ever being assessed. If you suspect AuDHD in yourself or your child, here's what to look for in an assessment. Ask the clinician specifically whether they assess for both autism and ADHD, not just one. Many standard assessments only screen for one or the other. Look for providers who describe themselves as AuDHD aware or neurodivergent affirming. They're more likely to recognize the overlap rather than picking whichever profile is more obvious on the surface. Getting the full picture matters because it changes what kind of support actually helps. Strategies designed only for autism or only for ADHD often miss half of what's going on. If you've spent your life feeling like a walking contradiction, craving structure and freedom at the same time, you're not broken and you're not making it up. You might just be AuDHD. There's a free Discord community in the description for parents, adults navigating AuDHD and PDA, and caregivers. No pressure to join, just know it's there. I'll see you in the next video.